welcome to the Typical Arsenal Show with your host Ray, and the other guys are going to absolutely kill me that are on the show. We did about half an hour and I absolutely mucked it up and didn't press record. So here we are going for take two. I'm sure they're not going to be happy about it, but let's see what Anthony's got to say. Let's see if we can see him.
Kenna, I'm on the call.
Anthony.
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's horrible. It's horrible news. It's horrible news. I said it. You know what? I set it automatically, but then when we rearranged the meeting for 9 o'clock, I set a new reminder and I didn't put that in there. So apologies.
You know what I mean? When I looked at it, yeah, then I thought I'm sure the recording button's meant to be on there, but then I've never been on one when someone's recording me. Maybe it just shows it on you.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. So now I know.
Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. Awful. It was all good chat as well. It was all good stuff.
I know.
Rants and that, but it's good practice anyway. It's good practice for the real stuff. Let's see if we can get Sam back online and then we'll get going.
Tell him he needs to use the same details. Maybe he's waiting for you to resend it.
I think he is. Same details. So just as we're here and we're pretending like we're starting again, Anthony, how did you feel about yesterday? Give us a little bit of a summary of the game.
Honestly, it sounds back. It was hard doing, man. It was.
Do you want me to help you out there? It was a train wreck, innit? It was a train wreck, innit? It really was.
Lewis got the train and he just right.
Sam, I was just saying to Anthony, I made the worst boo-boo and didn't even press record. I thought it was preset to record, but it wasn't. So we're going fresh again. So many good views coming from yourself and Anthony. I know it's banter, innit? It was a good show. It was looking good as well, but yeah, I'm allowed one boo-boo. But what we were doing, Sam, is talking about a whole load of a myriad of different topics. But mainly, we were talking about the midfield and the young boys and Arteta and where we go from here. So maybe we'll start with the longer and the bigger picture. Because yesterday was just a microcosm of Arsenal over the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know if you agree, Sam.
I do agree. I think what Arsenal need to do is I think there has to be I think the problem is under Emre and there was no plan. I don't think he had an action plan. I don't think he thought through what he saw as a future for Arsenal. I think he must have thought, I've been at PSG, I won the Europa League with Sevilla, I could come in here and make a change. And I don't think he thought long term. You know, that's why he threw Guendouzi in from the start. You know, I think Guendouzi's a good player, needs to work on his attitude. But I'll be honest with you, you put Guendouzi in Liverpool, you put Guendouzi in Man City, you put Guendouzi in Barcelona, you put Guendouzi in maybe not Real Madrid. Nobody gets an opportunity at Real Madrid.
No. Can I just pick you up on your point, Sam? Just to just lead the conversation a little bit. You made the point about Emery and not being long term, and that kind of pricked my interest because when I look at it, it was the higher ups that decided to bring in Emery. Yeah. And what contract did they give him? It was a 1 with a 2 if needs be. Correct? So were they thinking long term?
It was a 2-year with the option of a third. I think the problem is I think after Wenger, and a lot of teams have done this, where a manager comes in and he has a good season, and then the next season he does poor, and it's mainly with relegation-riddled teams and certain teams who catch a wave. And I think it was a smart move to protect Arsenal in the sense of, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give him 2 years, and if he does good, we'll offer him a third, and then you can kind of negotiate further down the line.
Mm.
But I think Emre can turn around and give the spiel about we're going to do this, this, and this. It's whether you can pull it off. And I think Arteta's got a plan, but I think Arteta's strong point, and we did make this point, of bleeding in young players. And I think what he's going to do with his last 9 games is he's going to bleed them in. I think to really see Arteta, how he works, is what we do in the transfer window and what incentives we have. I know there's serious talk about Thomas Partey. There's serious talk about this, I think he's an Iranian guy from the Italian league.
Okay.
Who's like the Iranian
Messi, yeah. It's always another nationality and Messi, isn't it? But Sam, you know what? I think that's a good point to maybe bring in Anthony. Anthony, what are the problems? Like, we had a whole discussion about the Man City game, and let's be realistic. Like I said, it's redundant. Is it the structure at Arsenal, or is it the players? Is it the quality of players? Talk to me. What do you reckon?
I reckon. I think, I feel like our managers haven't been strong enough. I feel like we can't play Aubameyang and Nketiah or Aubameyang and Lacazette. It doesn't work. It works against the lesser teams, and we look really, really good. Yeah. You know, Aubameyang yesterday didn't look comfortable on the left, and I know we're trying to accommodate. Just play him up front. I don't know what's going on with Pepe and what's going on with Ozil. I just can't see it. What they're doing in the training. Maybe I need to go to the training to see, but I'm not. Like again, I'm not an expert. I'm armchair. Well, not armchair. I go to the games, but you know what I mean. I'm not a footballing expert. So I don't get. And I was even thinking, I probably would have tried to put Pepe as a number 10 more than Willock. So I mean, I would have put more.
You know what?
Faith in that.
I think that's a good point you make, Anthony. Sorry to interrupt, but I will come back to you. It's a point that was being made in the WhatsApp group a couple of times, and I think I agreed with it as well. Pepe on the right-hand side is obvious. He can be read very easily. You know where to show him to defend against him. Him in the middle, dancing left or right. You don't know which way he's going to go, and he's got a strike on him. He could be an issue, you know?
Yeah.
But, no, just feel free, continue. So the selection yesterday, you were saying.
Yeah, so I mean, you asked the question, what is the problem? I don't know what contracts we give our players, because sometimes it seems like we're playing people, and I don't know if it's because we've promised them we'll play them 10 games, 15 games. I'm not a contracting expert, Ray, you know a bit more about that. But it doesn't make sense for a simple person like me towards looking at the game why we play some players and not some other players. Like I just don't. It doesn't make
logical sense.
And I don't know if it's the contracts we're drawing up, and it says that we promise you we're going to play you 10 games. If we don't play you 10 games, we're going to give you 100 grand. I don't know. I'm making it up here. I'm being like very extra. I don't know how contracts work. But we don't seem to be strong enough with our players. So if Lacazette is not the best striker on our team, put him as second and put Aubameyang on top. If Aubameyang's not the best winger, don't play him as a winger. Play him on the left. I mean, play someone else on the left. Aubameyang's not going to fly down the left and whip in the ball, is he? He's not going to do that. He can fly down the left and maybe cut in and score, correct. But he's not going to do that against top defenders. Doesn't do it.
No.
He doesn't do it. But when he's in the middle coming in, he does it. And I know I keep saying Aubameyang. Let me stop saying Aubameyang. But like our whole team, yeah, Aubameyang can start again. I don't even know who I'd keep and who I'd get rid of. And I think our problem is, as fans, we're too used to saying that person's a good squad team player these days. We're all talking about squad team players, but no, we ain't got a strong 11. And that's our problem. So our problem is, I don't know.
Everything, everything. Sam, I think that's a point that I kind of raised earlier with a few friends. I think at one point you could say with Arsenal, we needed 1 or 2 players. 1 or 2 players will be competing for the Premier League. 1 or 2 players will be back in the Champions League. Now I think we're at a point where you have to say it's not 1 or 2 players that we need in. It's 1 or 2 players that we're keeping. Who do we keep, Sam? Because for me, the whole of the midfield can disappear in an instant. Majority of the defense could go as well. And our attack isn't functional and doesn't have any cohesion. So talk to me, Sam. Where do we go from here? Who do we keep? Who
I
do
keep
we
the
keep?
goalkeeper. Goalkeepers for the wicked.
I agree. Yeah.
Goalkeeper. I think we got a lot of young defenders where there's potential there, but you still need to buy a solid centre back, not a Louise.
Okay. All right. So Sam, let's go through it. Let's go through it. Socrates, keep or go?
He can fob
He
off.
could go, yeah? Anthony, you're in agreement, yeah? Unmute yourself, Anthony. Get involved in this, please. Yeah?
Yeah, he can go.
The one thing I'd say about Socrates again is, and I think there's a couple of players like that Arsenal. So Aubameyang, Lacazette, Socrates, they're all old school. Like Socrates 7-8 years ago would have been one of the world's best defenders because it is that old school, hit 'em hard tackles, live and die by the sword, last ditch tackles. I think nowadays, especially with the way football's going, like you put in a hard challenge, doesn't matter if you get the ball or not. I think there was one that Sterling done on Mustafi.
Yeah.
And his foot was off the ground, but it was a good tackle. Slides in, strong challenge, takes a man, but first gets the ball. Nothing wrong with it. And then you've got players that are huddling around the ref, and the ref gives a free kick. And it's a bit like, you can't do that. You can't defend it. It hinders defenders, but you have to evolve. And Socrates hasn't evolved. So yeah, he has to.
So Sam, Socrates, he's got to go. Anthony, what are we talking about? Well, David Luiz, I think we can all say that's a thumbs down instantly. Nafoth, he's got a 1-year contract. We had the option to extend. I think we'd be foolish to extend, to be honest. Even with all the experience and the trophies and the medals that he's got in his locker.
Do you know who we're missing?
Go on.
Is a bit of that Andy Tate moment. That man Moises, that man Louise again.
Oh my God, I didn't see what you're referring to, Sam. But okay, yeah, Louise is a full-on joke, innit? He's meme-worthy. I'm sure he's all over social media today. I ain't even looked. I can't even look at social media right now because I'm sure Arsenal are just getting battered, absolutely battered over there. But anyway, we'll move on. Holding, what are we saying? Anthony, talk to me. Keep or go?
I've got a soft spot for him. I'll keep him, man.
Okay. Sam, Holding, he came back and he looked absolutely atrocious. I do recall a cup final. I think it was against Chelsea, maybe even against Diego Costa, where he played next door to Mertesacker, am I correct in saying? And he had an absolute blinder. I'm struggling to think of many more performances where he's looked imperious.
He's had, I think, the semi-final against City had a blinder. The game before.
I was looking at the highlights earlier. Fair enough.
I think a couple of Premier League games in and around that period, he had. I think the problem with Holding is he's too injury prone, and I like Holding, and I think Holding, if he wasn't injured, would be the staple defender, and we wouldn't be looking at Yarmolenko's.
I'll tell you what, Sam. I'll amend the question. I'll say to you, keep, go, or loan.
I'd loan Rob Holding. I wouldn't get rid of him.
I think
loan him.
He's 25, mate. You can't be loaning him out.
Of course you can. What are you on about? How old is Coutinho? He's a top class player. He's getting loaned out. That's the day and age we're in, Anthony. Honestly. No, you're not having that. Keep Rob Holding your love child.
No, but we're loaning him to get experience. We're not loaning him to... No, do you know what I mean? They can't get rid of Coutinho. That's why. No one wants to pay the money.
I know. But I just think Rob's at a point in his career where he needs consistent football away from the madhouse, you know? Away from the madhouse and the pressure that is Arsenal. Funny talking point. Cedric. Our pal Cedric Suarez. We haven't seen at all since he signed him in January. Sam, I guess I'll come to you. Cedric Suarez, right back.
Cedric who?
Do we keep him? Do we let him go?
We're paying. He's nicking a living. I can tell you that much. Yeah, he has to go. He never started for Southampton. I don't know what. It must have been some agent behind the scenes backhanded brown envelope deal because I don't know. He was injured when we got him. you know, he may get a game now because of the delay, but if there wasn't the pandemic and the delay, I don't think he would have been fit enough to play a game.
No.
He's injured again, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's not a muscle or impact injury. I think it's something to do with his face. Someone knocked him in his nose or some nonsense in training. Do you know what I mean? Oh dear.
He ought to be right here, mate. Bloody stubs a toe and he's gone for 6 months. Right?
I'm telling you, mate.
Get rid of him. There's no point. Worst signing.
Yeah, Cedric Suarez, Anthony. You having him?
Oh, no.
Not at all. Yeah, I tend to believe that was a favour for the agent, to be honest. I think it was one of those kind of whiffy deals, you know, where we did you this favour, so do us this favour. But anyway, that's not unsubstantiated, so let's just move on. Mustafi, Anthony, talk to me. He's been looking like one of our best defenders. Do we keep him or let him go?
No, I'd keep him. I think he's been playing out of his socks recently. Obviously, we conceded 3 yesterday, but for 2 of those goals, he was playing side by side with Tierney in defence, wasn't he? So, yeah, Tierney came into the middle, didn't he?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
I mean, you can't blame him for his performance yesterday. And to be honest, he does put his heart on the line, man. I like players that put their heart on the line, and he puts his heart on the line. He gives it all. I'd keep him, and he's playing well now.
Mustafi, Sam will keep firing through these players. I'm not having him at all. I do not forget, and I do not forgive. Are you having him? Too many blunders. Remember, this guy's worse than David Luiz when it comes to blunders. I'm not having him. I'm sorry, Anthony, I threw you under the bus here, but I'm not having him. Sam, bring some balance, please.
He did have a good game. I just find it. I'm a bit like you, Ray, where I don't forgive it, and I would definitely not forget. I have flashbacks to this guy putting slide tackles on a corner, and it's like, why are you going to that? Why are you sliding? It's a corner.
Mate, there's too many.
But what I would say about him is he has improved. I think if you put the correct defender, and I mean, like, we're talking about someone of a John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Tony, like an organizer next to him to tell him what to do. He needs a defender to tell him what to do. If he doesn't have someone, and when I mean a good organizer, I don't mean like Koscielny. Like, Koscielny will have a really good game and he can organise the defence. He was another one I was a bit iffy about. A good player, but just wasn't of that calibre. But you have a really, really good organiser next to Mustafi, and you would rate him as one of the best until he leaves, and then he gets shit again, saying with someone telling him what to do. And I think that's the problem with Mustafi. If he has someone telling him what to do, he'll have a blinder.
Okay.
So
that's fair enough. Listen, I think just to interrupt, Sam, sorry, mate, just because we're swinging through these players real quick, just to finish up on Mustafi, it shows you how bleak it is that this joke of a player, this joke of a player is looking like one of our best defenders right now. And that is praise to him, because he's brought it back from the brink. But we're moving on, Anthony. Chambers, keep or go. No explanation needed, keep or go.
Keep.
Yeah? No?
Keep.
Boom. Sam, keep or go. Chambers.
I keep Chambers. I quite like them.
Okay. Mari, Anthony, talk to me. You can have a little chat about him if you like. What do you think? How he's settled in?
From what I've seen, he hasn't done anything wrong so far. Which, like, again, the state of our defenders, if you don't do nothing wrong, you're doing something good. But he hasn't done anything amazing. So
Yeah.
I know we've got like 4 defenders now, but I'd keep him.
Okay, I like him, Sam. I don't know how you feel about him. I think he's a cultured player. I think he's silky on the ball, and if he doesn't make any gaffes, any David Luiz's or any Mustafis, then I'm good with him. What do you reckon?
I don't know. I didn't seem too convinced yesterday, to be honest. Yeah, he's good in the air and he did look composed, but just before his injury, I think he would have got paced by Kyle Walker. He looked dead and buried. I think that's the reason why he did get injured. He tried going up.
And he tried to break Sterling as well, with it on the edge of the box.
I couldn't believe what I saw. I don't know what possessed him to do that. Again, it's a bit like this schoolboy era. Kind of like, why are you swinging? I was so bad, but I'm not completely. I'm unsure.
Okay. All right. You're still on the fence about Mari. Fair enough. Fair enough. Kolasinac, Sam, we'll stay with you. Keep or go quickly.
Yeah, I do like him as a squad
Keep or
player.
go, Sam. Keep or go.
Got to go.
He's got to go. Anthony, keep or go.
Yeah, he can go now. We've got Saka and Tierney. He can go.
All right, good. Thank you. We got Tierney and we got Saka. We don't need Kolasinac. We got him on a free. We can make a bit of profit. Sell him. He's on high wages. Job done. Not having him. Ceballos, Anthony, we'll stay with you. Interesting one. You're having him.
Sorry, I need to ask a question. Are we having him, as you say that, are we going to buy new players or the way the squad is now?
So let me clarify the question. It's a good point you made. Ceballos, okay. Ceballos at, let's say, 25 to 30 million. Are you making that exchange? Are you putting money down for Ceballos?
I'd rather have Jack Grealish than no.
But you ain't getting Jack Grealish for less than 60, 70 million.
We've got to pay the money. We've got to pay the money, mate. We've got to pay the money. He would have tried to drag that team in. And he's probably technically not as good as Ceballos, yeah? But he would have tried to drag... I don't know. I'm guessing it. But he would have dragged that team yesterday. He would have fucking dragged that team. Yeah. He would have really dragged it by the scuff of the neck. He's 22, but he would have been shouting at every single Tom, Dick and Harry on that pitch saying, come on, let's do it. Like he doesn't at Aston Villa all the time. Maybe because they're a smaller club.
So, question, Anthony. Question. Ceballos on loan for another season. Are you having that? Would you take that?
No, because then that means we won't buy another player. I'll get rid of him. He can go.
Okay. All right. You're not having Ceballos. That's cool. Sam?
No, he's not a bad player.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, I think he's an okay player. I think he's a nearly player. He does the right things, but never quite executes enough for me. But Sam, how do you feel about him? Ceballos, you having him?
I'm not convinced. I think Cantwell is a better player.
I might agree, actually.
I think Ceballos.
Cantwell from Norwich.
Right.
They're attacking midfielder. Yeah.
I think Ceballos is very similar to Ozil, and he's just not as good. Where he needs that link player to free him up, so that when the ball does get to the final third, he has the space and time to make that pass or be creative, you know. And again, if we got Ozil for 350k a week and we're not getting rid of him anytime soon, you know, then yes, I agree with Andy. Get rid of him, free up space, get a player who can actually do that role of a Ramsey, Cordola. Cantwell's my number one shout. I like Cantwell.
You know what, boys? I made a mistake. Sorry, go on, Anthony.
So if David Silva was in our team yesterday, just David Silva, yeah. Okay, let's even talk about Bernardo Silva, who's a bit younger. Do you think it would be a completely different team?
Yeah. I think our style of football would be completely different but you would have Ozil playing.
Sam, you know what? I'm going to come in on 2 points. Firstly, I don't think the attacking midfielder is the silver bullet in our system. I don't, because even at Mesut Ozil's peak, when he was at Arsenal, since he's been at Arsenal, we still had structural problems that we've still got to this day. So I think it goes deeper than just an attacking midfielder, if I'm honest with you. But
when he was in with Sanchez, he wasn't too bad.
I'm not saying he's no, listen to what I said. I said when he was in his peak, even when he was in his peak, we still had defensive problems. We still had structural problems, and those structural problems still exist to this day. So I don't think that the common denominator is the number 10. But I do think it would help the system because we got nothing in midfield. We got nothing. I do agree it would help.
I agree with you there.
What I would say is I forgot to your main man Bellerin. Maybe I'll stay with you, Sam. Talk to me, Bellerin.
I like Bellerin. I think he's a misunderstood player. I think he's got a lot of personality, a lot of heart.
He's a bit of a hipster like yourself as well, Sam, isn't he?
You know what I mean? No, I do. And he takes pictures by Primo Zil in his fancy new get-up. So
he gets the pass from you then, yeah?
No, I think he's a good player. I think if he can stay off injury, it's a bit like Rob Holding. If he stays off injury, you know, I'm not going to say he's going to be a world beater and he's going to be like a £50 million right back. But I think he brings a lot to the team, especially our team. Super shy.
Anthony, I've got to be honest, there's been occasions over the last couple of months where I've said, you know what, we need to sell Bellerin. Furthermore, I've gone as far as saying the right-hand side of our defence is a problem because Maitland-Niles doesn't want to play there. And I think you see, even seeing him in pre-season, he's been playing centre midfield. I think even when he came on yesterday against City, he was playing centre midfield. So again, we've got problems at right back because we've got Cedric Suarez there who can't get a game either. So where are we with this right back situation? Where are we with Bellerin? Are we keeping him? Are we letting him go? Because 25 million, 30 million is the talk.
No, we've got to keep him. I think we've got to keep him because we need a bit of foundation to our team, and he's been there. Funny enough, he's our longest serving player. I think he is.
Martinez, Emi Martinez, I think it is.
Oh, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think it's Emi Martinez.
He can go. He's shocking.
I didn't even mention him, Sam. I didn't even mention him. We didn't even look at the goalkeepers. Leno keep, Martinez go. Sorry, that's I've answered for everybody. But anyway, Anthony, you're saying
Martinez is not a bad goalkeeper.
He's not bad, but he wants to go. He wants first team football from what I hear. Yeah. So I'm making a lot of assumptions there on your behalf.
Is our longest serving player.
Say again.
Matt Macy.
Matt Macy.
He can't still be there. He cannot still be there.
He's still there. He's still in the official squad on Arsenal.com. Yeah, he's definitely there.
He's probably been since he was 5.
Don't look this up.
That's the thing.
I think it's Matt Macy.
So bringing it back, boys. Bringing it back. I think, Anthony, you were going to finish your point on
Bellerin. Bellerin, to be honest, we've got a right back and we've got nobody. He's our only right back. So he needs to stay. I think he knows the team. He knows the squad. And he seems to get on with a lot of players, which is quite important for the cohesion of the squad. So, yeah, anyway, I'm waffling, he says.
No. I agree. I do agree. I think he is a very vocal member of the squad. Supposedly, when they were discussing the pay cuts, caveat to that, asterisk, we were the only Premier League club to make our players take a pay cut. But he was instrumental in being democratic and working both sides and making it amicable kind of situation. Moving swiftly on, boys. And I'm going to start with this character, Mesut Ozil. I think, listen, realistically, whether you're a Mesut Ozil fan or not, I think the fact that he's earning 350k a week and he's producing what he produces when he does play, and when you look at his stats, I think ideally, in an ideal world, he goes. You sell him or you loan him off and you get the wages off your books, and then you bring in a younger attacking midfielder who you're probably paying a quarter of that or maybe a third of that. Sam, talk to me. What do you reckon? Mesut Ozil.
I'm caught in the same situation with Mustafi. Is if you're going to have a player like a Ramsey or Corzona, and again, you'd need a really good striker, similar like a Sanchez when he was at Arsenal, to really get Ozil going. If we don't get them players in, then Ozil becomes redundant and it's 350k down the pan every week. So, depending on transfers, if we get some really good quality buys in, and that kind of support Ozil's playing style, he can be a benefit in that sense. But because of the players we have now, there's no movement, there's no passing or attacking cohesion, and it doesn't fit Ozil's play. So, you can't keep Ozil for that, and he's just going to rot away, and he's going to just waste the money. So it has nothing to do with Ozil's ability or his performances, in my opinion. If he just doesn't fit the team, then it'll be better.
Fair enough.
More for him to leave, as well as the club, because it just doesn't marry up at the moment. Where the club and where he is, and that's the issue we're at. It has nothing to do with performance or ability. I think he's a fantastic player.
Understood.
Standard the club.
What I would say, sorry Sam, just to interrupt again, and maybe I bring it on to you, Anthony. 350k, he wasn't even in the squad against the champions didn't we of England? Didn't we buy Mesut Ozil for these type of games? In an ideal world, are we letting him go, or are you
What I
still
don't
having
understand.
Ozil?
I mean, quality-wise, he's our best player. Let's pull it out there. And echoing what Sam said, we can have another top quality player. Like if we had De Bruyne in our team, De Bruyne, I can't never say his name properly. He would probably look shit in our team as well because our team's shit. Do you know what I mean? If you ain't got anyone out
Don't
there,
agree with that. I don't agree with that at all.
who would he pass the ball to?
I think you know what it is. When you've got quality players, they inspire other players and they give confidence to other players. And I think gone are the days where Mesut Ozil can inspire people technically and run a game. Whereas Kevin De Bruyne is still in his pomp. He can still pick up the ball, dance around two players and stick it in the top bins.
Yeah, but that's for Man City. But what I'm saying is, if he was in Arsenal, who would he be spraying those balls to? That's going
but who's Grealish passing to, Anthony? Who's Grealish passing to? Who's Cantwell passing to? Do you understand where I'm coming from? But they're still looking like effective attacking midfielders.
Good point in a shit team, but we're just shit in a shit team.
Yeah, well.
I know. So I would if we like what Sam said, if we got the right players around him. I'm not saying build a squad around him because he's 31 now. But if we got Thomas Partey, he would be like a good holding midfielder, which would release some of his defensive responsibilities. And we've got like another player like Cazorla, I think you guys would say.
Yeah,
he would look amazing next season.
Yeah, I think for me, if you've got a fully functioning midfield and Mesut Ozil's a cherry on top, fair enough. But I think we need to rebuild in our midfield, and Mesut Ozil at 31 is definitely not the way to rebuild.
And who would buy, sorry, instead of him?
Who would I buy instead of him? Yeah. If I had the option?
Not anyone in like realistically.
Realistically, I'd go for someone in the Premier League. So I'd be aiming at a Grealish, a Cantwell, a Maddison. And if I couldn't get one of those, then I'd be looking on the continent for a young attacking midfielder, maybe from France, maybe from Holland. But someone with a bit of spice and a bit of legs. Someone that can get about the pitch and link play. Like you see Grealish, for instance, he's in the right back position, picking up the ball, helping out the defenders to alleviate pressure. Then he's in the centre. Then he's on the left wing. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Mesut Ozil ain't doing that. He's not capable anymore. But anyway, enough of the Mesut Ozil ranting and bashing because I could literally do that all day. I'm sick of the don. We're staying in midfield. Maitland-Niles. Maybe I'll stick with you, Anthony. Maitland-Niles. What are we saying? Keep or go? Say again?
I don't like saying it, but I'd get rid of him.
Why don't you like saying it?
Because it's people's careers. Do you know what I mean? It's their livelihood. But yeah, I know.
Listen. No disrespect, and Maitland-Niles, he's come through the academy, so he's got an attachment to the club. So it's not nice saying keep or go. I get that. But at the end of the day, this guy has had ample opportunities that so many people would die for. Yeah, and you were told to play right back. They said play right back, and you said no, I play centre midfield. And for me, that's where you lost. You see, from that, I was like, okay, you can go then. Go and play centre midfield for Hull or one of those teams in the Championship or the bottom side of the Premier League, because you're not playing centre midfield for Arsenal. So for me, he can go. I think he's let younger players in the squad come through and outshine him. People like Saka have come in and made more of an impact in what, half a season than he has in 2-3. And can you even forgive what he did in the Europa League finals? Let me not continue on to that one. You don't forget that performance without wanting to kill people. But Torreira, Sam, talk to me. We're going to keep this short and sweet now. We're going to bang through keep or go, and then we're going to move on. Keep. Yeah, definitely. Anthony, Torreira.
If we're getting Partey, I'll get rid of him, mate.
Ooh. So you'd replace him then?
I think, I just think the language barrier is a bit of a problem sometimes. That's what I think.
There's been whispers that he hasn't settled well. That's very true. Very, very true.
To move back to Italy.
Yeah, that's been the talk. But I'm of the thinking he's better than Xhaka. And if I was going to keep Torreira or Xhaka, I know who I'm picking every time. Sam, talk to me. Who are you picking? Are you keeping Torreira? Are you keeping Xhaka? Or are you keeping both?
I'm going to keep the mobile, dogged midfielder who on his day can be fantastic and be a competition for anyone in centre mid, or do I pick Rusty D's RoboCop from the night to sure of things? I think I know who I'm picking. You know what? Yes, Jack has improved, but God, that guy, watching him is like watching an 80s sci-fi movie, like back at when the special effects where he's just so stiff. WD-40 the geezer's problem. He's that bad. I say it every time. I say, well, he needs WD-40 on those knees. But
He really does. So what? You're keeping Torreira, but you're letting go of Xhaka, yeah?
Yeah, I get rid of Xhaka. He's had too long here. He needs a breath of fresh air.
Xhaka's another one for me. People like to forget too soon. I do not forget. I've been supporting Arsenal longer than 2 minutes. This guy came off the pitch, effing and blinding at the fans, throwing armbands and throwing this, that, and the other, taking off his shirt, acting like a fool after making how many high-profile mistakes. He's as bad as Mustafi or David Luiz. People forget. He's just further away from the goal. So all his mistakes don't cost goals. I'm not having Xhaka at all, stiff, one-legged. Yeah? Compare him to Santi Cazorla and you understand why I'm upset right now. Anthony, talk to me. Xhaka, are we keeping him or are we letting him go? Talk to me. Talk sense, please.
I was his biggest critic, yeah, but I'd probably keep him now.
Ah! You're trying to shoot me in the chest, bruv. What's going on? Go on. Feel free. Speak your piece.
We are like building a team, yeah.
Mm.
And even if I know I said I hate the word squad players, but people like him are integral to the team. So, I mean, they seem to have, again, that seems to have a bit of personality. That people, I don't know why, they seem to listen to him on the pitch. He seems to be shouting at everybody. You know what I mean? And if we don't have that, people come in all timid and scared. And I feel like we need a bit of that fear. So that's why I'm not going for quality. And maybe he's not playing in his right position, but he can spread the ball. He just can't turn.
He has to run round the ball. So he's on his left foot, yeah? Oh, Jesus. All right, Sam, let's keep it flowing. Guendouzi. You make Guendouzi sharp and short, keep or go. Or loan. You've got the option of loan with the young players.
I think we have to keep him at this moment in time. He's in the first team. If we loan him out, I think he's just going to want to leave. Just keep him, might as well.
Fair enough. Anthony, Guendouzi.
Loan.
Go? You're not having him at all? Oh, loan. Okay, he's young enough to go out and loan, get some football and come back maybe bigger and better. That's fair enough. All right, now we're getting into the attackers. Now we're getting into the interesting side of things. Martinelli, goes without saying, keep all round.
Yeah, you got to keep them.
Nketiah, it's an interesting one. Keep, loan, or go. I'm going to throw that out to Sam. Go and talk to me. What are you saying?
I just don't think he's good enough. A part of me is 50-50, he's still young. So I'm going to say loan, but then my heart is saying loan him out. He's an academy prospect.
Mm.
My head's saying get rid of him. He's not good enough. I think when we go back to that conversation about Mason Greenwood, who's a similar age, Mason Greenwood, Martinelli as well. Like why did Martinelli start yesterday?
Mate, we're going to come on to that. We're going to come on to that in part 2, to be honest, Sam. But listen, just to keep it swinging, because I'm looking at it and we are due to go for a break in about 2 minutes. Anthony, this get loan for Sam. Anthony, talk to me. Keep, loan, go.
If Aubameyang stays, then loan. If Aubameyang goes, then I'll keep him.
Nice. Nelson, for me, I think it's a keep. I think there's more to come. I could sway to a loan if I'm honest with you, but for the most part, I think it's a keep. I think Arteta seems to fancy him as well. Anthony, how you feel about him?
Yeah, I don't see what they see, but I'll keep him because they're their experts.
Okay. Sam, Nelson?
I keep him on the right, back on the left. Looks like a positive future. Both young.
Perfect. And we got the three attackers, our three main attackers, Pepe, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. I think we'll touch on them on the other side if you don't mind, boys. I know I've I've taken more than enough of your time, but thank you for bearing with me, yeah? And I'll meet you on the other side.
Don't forget to pause.
And we are back on the other side with the typical Arsenal gang. And tonight we've got Sam and we've got Anthony. I've got to say a massive thank you to both of these guys. They've been with me for well over an hour now. There's some missing content in the ether that we'll never get back, that I'm sure these guys are not happy about. But it's been a good chat so far, and we're going to keep it going. On the other side of the break, we were speaking about players, whether we would keep, loan, or let them go. We are on to the final three players, the forwards, Pepe, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. I guess we'll start with you, Anthony. Why don't we start with the mercurial talent that is Nicolas Pepe, who didn't find himself on the pitch yesterday, and is a little bit baffling, to be fair. Talk to me.
I would keep. I think he's a player that plays on confidence. I don't think he's a player that you can bring on the 80th minute to make a change. I think he needs a consistent run of games. I mean, that's what his game is based on, confidence. If you don't have the confidence, I don't think you can just drop him in the game. And maybe that's the reason why Arteta didn't play him, because he would have probably made a few mistakes and they would have just lost it. And I feel like we need to play him as a number 10. Well, we need to try. I don't know what they do in training, but I would probably try him as a number 10 and see what happens. So I'd keep him anyway. He's 22.
Yeah. Listen, I think there are some people out there that are screaming for him to be sold already. I don't think it's realistic when you make that type of investment, that you let him go after the first season, especially with the nature of this season and how punctuated it's been. 3 different managers, COVID, lockdown, all types of crazy stuff have gone on this season for him. So you need to give him a season at least. But what I would say is very concerning is that my inkling is that he might not fit into our system. I think he came from a team where a majority of the time they were counter-attacking. I think that team had their identity, and their identity was clear, whereas our identity isn't clear. Are we a big team? Are we a small team that's trying to counter-attack? Kind of fluctuate between the two, and I think that might be the bigger picture with Pepe that we might come to discuss later down the line, maybe a year, 2 years from now. But for now, we definitely keep him, in my opinion. Sam, short and sweet with Pepe, what do you reckon?
You got to keep it. You don't make that kind of investment and not see it throughout the long haul. He's frustrating to watch because he's a one-footed wonder. I don't think I've ever seen him use his right foot, and if I have, it ends up being a mistake, like poor cross. I think, do you know what? That whole thing about number 10, if you saw him against Man U, I think it's the first time I've seen like our front three kind of fluid and move in and out. And him down the middle, like he got a poacher's goal, and he also hit the post, which was coming from a narrow position. So yeah, I keep him and definitely go, because again, he's more of a modern winger type striker, a bit like a Mo Salah. So yeah, I definitely keep him.
Okay. Well, we're going to come on to that, Sam, because I think that is definitely a talking point. I'll probably swing it back over to you, Anthony, and take a pick, or do I give you a choice? Where do we start with Lacazette and Aubameyang? We've got Lacazette, who's 27, 28, coming into the last 2 years of his contract, and you've got Aubameyang, who's 30, 31, in the last year of his contract. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for the COVID lockdown, I think a lot of teams would be coming in for him this summer. Who do we keep? Do we keep both of them? Do we let one of them go, both of them go? You tell me. How are you feeling about it?
We need to keep one of them. We keep trying to accommodate both of them. We need to keep one of them. And the thing is, Aubameyang's only going to stay if we buy the right players. If we're gonna start this team from the beginning, then let the man go and let the man have a good career and win some trophies elsewhere, because he's not going to win the trophies at Arsenal. If we're going to buy these players that we're talking about, these big players, who I believe will make a massive impact on our team, then keep him because he'll be able to play. But he can't play in the team we're playing in. It's not fair what we're doing to him. It's not fair. It's not fair. I mean, he will keep scoring goals, but we're not going to win games. He can score 3 goals and we can see 10. What's the point? I mean, start from the beginning.
Listen, he's a comfortably paid man. He's getting paid to do his job, and he's doing his job well. You know, fair enough. But
he want to win stuff. He wants to win stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, they can get money. They get 500 grand. But at the same day, you want to win. You want job satisfaction. They're no different from us.
Okay,
they
so
want
I'll
to
tell you
in their career and say, look, I won this and won this. Oh yeah, I made 100 million quid. But everyone forgets that player.
No, that's a fair point, Anthony. But I'll tell you what. Let me give you a more strict scenario to work with before I pass it back over to Sam. So we're saying we're in a scenario where we are not going to replace Aubameyang, and this is what I can guarantee if we do let go of him. We are not going to replace him with equal quality in regards to his replacement. Do you let him go? With the understanding that with COVID-19, prices are going to go down in regards to the sums that players are being sold for. We get 30 million for Aubameyang, and we get, I don't know, an Ethiad from Celtic. Are you having that?
I would have that because he'll probably fit our team better. He'll probably fit our team better because he's like, you know, one of the best strikers in the world. I don't care what anybody says. He's one of the best strikers in the world. However, if he's not playing at the top, he's not really fitting our team on the left. Let's have it out there. He's not having us. And yeah, he might score 1 goal here, but they're not winning us matches, are they? So, I mean,
no. And
I think that's what we need. And even if you buy that Wolves player, what's his name? Neves?
Yeah, Ruben Neves.
I mean, he would probably, because, you know, he can't play on the left. Well, anyway.
Sorry. The Wolves player you're talking about is their striker, Jimenez. Yeah? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, Jimenez. Yeah, Jimenez, okay. Yeah, sorry. So, for example, if we had him, I don't think he can play on the left, from what I've seen. He can play up front.
He's a target man.
He can play up front. That's his position. And then he will score goals. Because that's all he knows what to do. He's not going to go left. He's not going to go right. He's going to play up front. And then we'll be able to whip the balls into him or do what we need to do to him. And then maybe bringing in Pepe be able to run off him. We might be able to hold up on Pepe because he's not going missing.
Yeah. I think you raise a good point about Aubameyang and his effectiveness. And it's kind of been my concern with Aubameyang and building a team around Aubameyang is that in games he can go missing. On the left-hand side, he can be non-existent. And you can see that from when you watch Aubameyang for the first 5 minutes. First 5 minutes you watch Aubameyang, you realise he's not a high-touch player. He's not a high-technical player. He's not the type of forward that we're kind of used to at Arsenal that can not only go in behind and score goals, but can link play and drop into the midfield, and it's seamless, you know? And I think that's always been a disconnect with Aubameyang and myself personally in regards to him being a striker for Arsenal. But bringing it back to your point again, and why I think personally we need to cash in on Aubameyang is he only can play number 9. For me, he should not be playing anywhere else. Yeah, he's in the last year of his contract. He's obviously not going to want to sign, or he hasn't signed. We know that much, you know. And let's be honest, you're Aubameyang. Why would you sign for Arsenal at this moment in time? Why would you? Sam, talk to me. Why would Aubameyang sign? Furthermore, have we even got the choice of keeping him? Does he want to stay? Is he going to stay? Another ill-fated captain. Talk to me.
I'd get rid of him and Lacazette.
The both?
Okay. Get rid of them. Make 50 mil. So you got 50 million spent on striker. You got Martinelli. You got Pepe. If we do get rid of them too, I change my decision on Eddie and say keep Eddie as a support striker, as backup, you know. And then you bring in a good striker, a striker who either plays, a very similar system of, you know, if you put Pepe number 10, he can rotate. Martinelli is
Sam, do you mind if I interrupt there, Sam? Because I think we've got to be very, very careful. If we're looking to let go of Lacazette and Aubameyang, then I think at least one of the players in our attacking third needs to be a guaranteed goal machine. because our midfield does not produce goals. So now, if you're letting go of both of them, you've got to come up with a viable name as to someone who's going to come in and score goals at the rate that Aubameyang does, and let's forget about what Lacazette's doing. You know?
I think the thing is this is all right. I've said this and I agree with you. The reason why Lacazette gets so like if we played an old school 4-4-2, I can imagine Lacazette and Aubameyang looking a lot better than they are. The problem is they're two old school strikers that play in a modern day system. No one has the Lacazette hold up play striker. You have the false nine in Firmino. Like even Tammy can play that side. You know, you have versatile strikers. Aubameyang, everyone wants to peg him down as the next Henry. He isn't the player to pick up the ball and beat a player. He's an old-fashioned player who the ball goes in behind and he runs.
He's a fox in a box, Sam, isn't he? He's a fox in a box.
So it's not that. Yes, he gets goals. I'm not denying that. I think as he gets older, what made him special was his pace. He's not going to have that anymore.
Well, Sam, just to interrupt again, Sam, just because we're having a debate, obviously, I think Aubameyang, that's one thing you have to look at and say athleticism isn't his issue, to be honest. I think he's quite sprightly for his stage. But I'm agreeing with you on most of it, to be honest. You know?
I don't think it's his issue now. I'm saying further down the line, But my point is this, is I think going back to your point about blowing up the team, and I think, again, you know, you need that rejig. You need to take that risk. I think Pepe can get you 15 goals. I think Martinelli's another one, given the proper opportunity. The problem I have with the Arsenal team at the moment is you've got a lot of players who they need a cohort of players. So Aubameyang in the right system with the right players. You know, if you look at the Man City game, he wasn't getting the service he needed.
Agreed.
You put him in the team that gives him a service, he would look a lot better. He looked like someone who would go against Man City and score goals. He would look threatening. At Arsenal, he doesn't. So it's that same argument with Ozil. The squad or the team at the moment doesn't marry up with the player. That's why I get rid of him, because as much as, he gets 20 to 25, 30 goals a season. And I do like him. I think he's a good player. I just don't think the system marries up with his ability.
Okay, so Sam, again, I'll bring you back to my point. You said you want to get rid of Lacazette and Aubameyang, and there's very good reasons for wanting to get rid of both, varying different reasons. But who do you bring in now? If we're saying we're getting rid of both, you need to bring in a guaranteed striker. Who are you bringing in?
So Jota from Wolves, I think, is a very good player.
More of a number 10, though, isn't he?
More of a number 10, but I think because he's played on the wing and he's a lot more versatile than them, and he's young.
Okay. Good player.
I'd even look at. I know Martial hasn't had the best time at Man U, but again, he's coming into his prime, about 28, and I think.
Who are you talking about? Sorry, Sam.
Anthony Martial.
He's a lot younger than that, to be fair. I'm sure he's
not 28.
No, he's about 23, 24.
So even better. So he's more versatile, and I think he's someone who has played on the wing.
But I don't think he's a what you would argue as a realistic target. I don't think Man United are letting him go for anything less than ridiculous money in this day and age. He's 24. He's 24 at the moment. Ideal player. I really like him. Very versatile attacher. But
and I think
how realistic.
You don't send players to your Europa League challenges, do you?
Say again.
You don't sell when your best players to one of your Europa League challenges, do you?
No.
Falling up and sit.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Oh dear. Okay, so listen, I think we kind of went through the squad there. Again, we're trying to have a more holistic viewpoint rather than looking and focusing too much on the dumpster truck fire that was the Man City game yesterday. The David Luiz Man City game. I don't even know what we can dub it as, but terrible. But what I did want to talk about was more about the managerial point of view, and I think that's what we'll do with typical Arsenal. Is as we've got a load of people that are involved in football and have that kind of coaching viewpoint, we'll try and assess the manager and we'll go into player ratings as well afterwards with the both of you. So the manager yesterday, Anthony, we spoke about it earlier, but we'll bring it back. What was going on with the lineup today? Are you having it? What's the rating you're giving Arteta for this performance, if you like?
For the lineup. Well, on paper, I'd give it like a 4 or 5 out of 10 on paper.
Okay.
However, we must admit, before Xhaka and Mari got injured, they didn't look that bad of a team. So if I'm going from how they played in the first 35 minutes, I can't remember until Mari got injured. I would probably give him a 6.5 out of 10 because we played. I mean, we didn't let them play. We didn't really. I know they started playing towards when Mari, but they didn't really play. They had a few opportunities, but they didn't really get going like how they got going in the second half.
Could you make the argument, Anthony? Sorry to interrupt. Could you make the argument, playing devil's advocate, Man City players or Man City fans might argue, well, you know what, a big break. It took us a bit of time to get into gear. It took us about 15, 20 minutes. And once we got into gear, we were comfortable and we were penetrating Arsenal as and when we liked. I can remember 2 through balls in the first half where we were absolutely picked apart by Kevin De Bruyne. You know?
Yeah, that could be a fair point. But we did a couple through balls ourselves. And Kete just couldn't get onto. I think he had like 2 or 3. They're not clear cut opportunities. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he should have banged them and scored. But we were causing him. I mean, look at who pulled him down to the floor. That was like half a foul, not a foul.
Oh, Garcia, I think it was. Garcia that was playing at the back.
He was causing a bit of problems. And man, that was a little ball over the top. So I'd say 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Because of how we played in the first 35 minutes. That's all I'm about.
See, where I feel for Arteta is we can't really judge too much on his starting lineup because the plan and the strategy was blown up in a space of 20 minutes by David Luiz. What I will argue is if you're looking at the balance of that team as a Premier League manager, I don't think I'm sending that many young players out there. I do feel for him that Xhaka got injured because I think Xhaka was a key part of the strategy of getting that ball in behind Man City and using the pace of the forward line that we had, which I can understand. Away at Man City, but for me again, I don't rate that starting lineup at all. I think Pepe's got to be involved. It's a counter-attacking type of strategy that you're going to need against Man City. So why not have Pepe? And Saka on the left, on the right, furthermore, I think was criminal, to be honest. I think he looked like a fish out of water. Sam, just quickly on
what was your out of 10? What was your rating?
Oh, my rating for Arteta, the starting lineup before I saw the game, I'll probably give him a 3 out of 10. If we're talking about the first 20 minutes, then it probably rises to about a 5 or 6 out of 10. End of the game, yeah, that's I don't even know, 3 out of 10. We'll go back to that on average. Sam, what do you reckon? Your rating for Arteta yesterday? Keep it short and sweet. I'm going to come back to you on the player ratings as well, yeah?
I give him 4. Just a quick note on. So Xhaka goes injured. Mari goes injured. You know what David Luiz is about. You know what Tobias is about. I expect a change in the system slightly. Maybe not defensively, because I think defensively he did get spot on, which was, you have your 3 strikers narrow, you force them to play wide, you minimise the amount of touches De Bruyne, David Silva, Gundogan have in the middle. Because every time we play against them and they get the ball in the middle, that's when they cause trouble. I think, when we lost Xhaka and you got Tobias there, that isn't his natural position. It isn't, and you've got Guendouzi, who's a bit of an ill-disciplined maverick. You kind of lose it in a bit, and then you've got Joe Willock as well. And I feel like you lose Xhaka, you lose Mari. You need to change them, and I think that's where he's a bit tactically inept. Where it's kind of like, it's going to fall apart. And I think that's what really happened. Is even without Luiz, you can see it starting to frayed a little bit, the system, and we were losing it. So I give him a 4 out of 10, knowing that the fact that he should have adapted the system quicker when the injuries occurred.
Okay.
You know, 20
And
minutes.
do you know what, Sam? Just staying with you. Just a point that occurred to me about Arteta, and something that's concerned me over the period before the lockdown. His substitutions sometimes it can be a bit suspect, no?
Yeah, they are.
I don't know. I don't know if I liked what I saw yesterday in terms of his substitution yesterday and in previous games. What do you reckon, Sam? Quickly before I bring Anthony in.
I'll be honest with you. I would have brought Louise on for Xhaka and played him centre mid. Played him in that holding position.
And brought who on for this in centre back?
I can't even remember our bench. Was it Louise our only defender?
I'll double check for you right now. So on the bench we had Dani Ceballos, Kolasinac, David Luiz, Martinelli, Maitland-Niles, Nelson, Pepe, Lacazette. So yes, he was our only centre back.
What we could
maybe
have done,
Maitland-Niles. Maybe.
Yeah, but then he would have been
No, at centre midfield. Centre back Maitland-Niles. Please. No, I think David Luiz had to play in centre back. He was our only recognised centre back.
But again, if you played him, because obviously this was before the Mari injury. If you played him, and then obviously if because we're talking about hindsight here, if Mari got injured, then you bring on Ceballos. But then you kind of look at the system again, and you go, all right, we're going to change it. You might drop like 3 in defence, or so you might shift in. You will have Mustafi centre. This would be a huge risk.
Yeah, I think, you know what, Sam, I think the point I was getting at, Sam, was more about the substitutions and the personnel that he chose to bring on. And maybe that's where I'll bring you in, Anthony. Just quickly, Sam, sorry. Pepe not getting on the pitch.
I reckon I think the last 3 subs he brought on, he just brought them on for match fitness. He didn't bring them on to win the game. He thought, we've lost the game, let's just bring them on just to have a few touches of real life. I don't know. He sort of just gave up. He just gave up.
But I'm sure City ended up with 10 men as well, Sam. Did they not?
They did, yeah.
You know, so you just never know.
But the thing is, it goes back to Anthony's point about the number of games. If I say, oh, Pepe's got to play, have a number of appearances, and he gets this, am I going to waste one of those appearances on where I might have to pay him further down the line on a game where we've already lost?
Yeah,
mate. Do you know what my answer to that is, Sam? We are a multi-million-pound organisation, yeah, and you knew what you signed up to when you signed the contract. All that nitpicking about appearances and all of that, I'm not buying all of that. I don't care. You make enough money that it doesn't matter.
But the thing is, this is as a club, and I'm talking about as a club. So it's not the players' appearance fee; it's the club who goes, no, the transfer fee. So it might be Pepe has to pay 25 games within the first season, and then we give like £1 million. Because remember, that was the 72 million deal is broken up into different parts. So part of that could be, so the Premiership might have turned around and gone, don't bring them on because we won the game.
Exactly.
Where we might have to pay the club for him 20 minutes and we're already lost. Leave him on the bench. Bring him Reece Nelson. We have to run that risk. So there is...
I'll tell you what my problem is, Sam, with Nicolas Pepe. Sorry to interrupt again. Is the fact that... Every time. No,
not every time.
No. But on a serious note now, on a serious note, Nicolas Pepe is a £72 million investment. Okay? I can't see us doing that every season. So I look at that player and I see what he represents. He's a player that we need to build our squad round in the next couple of seasons because he's that level of investment. So for me, he's got these big games. He's got to be getting bedded in these big games because you know what? Whatever strategy or system we're going to use against these big games, he's got to fit into it. So for me, I don't know or if it's appearances, if it's whatever. Me, if I was at Arteta's stage, I think I'd be telling anyone to fuck off that told me I can't play a player because of a million here and a million there. I think that's this. If it is, if it isn't, I don't know. But for me, Pepe's got to be playing. He's got to be embedded into the team and the strategy.
Really, yeah, he has to be.
Yeah.
Didn't Arteta say the other day that on Sky Sports, I think one of you guys put it in the group, I know, that the board have to start backing him. What did you think about that comment? Did you read it?
Yeah, I didn't read. Sadly, I didn't read the article. I saw the headline, and I think I've read maybe a paragraph about Arteta saying that he really needs backing in the transfer market.
It could be all these signs that he's saying. It could be like, I know we're being conspiracy theorists now, but these are the little things. If your manager, your manager, the board is telling you, you need to not play this person because I've already decided we're not going to make it to challenge. For example, you're not going to play that player. They've told you you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it unless you're risking your career.
Yeah. I guess managers don't have as much power. Well, they're not managers anymore, are they? They're head coaches, aren't they? And it's a sad system we're in, I guess. But listen, on a more positive note, guys, we get to do the player ratings for the Man City versus Arsenal game. Exciting times. I'm going to give you no more than, let's say, 10 to 15 seconds to give a little spiel on the player that you're rating. Okay, so you won't do all the players. You'll do individual players. So I'll jump between the two of you guys, if you like. So quick number and a quick explanation, and then we'll move on to the next one. So we'll start with Sam, just because we're starting with the goalkeepers. Anthony, I hope you don't mind. And Sam is our resident expert. Leno, the number one, talk to me.
Easy 8. Conceded 3. None of the goals were his fault. But
8 out of 10.
Yeah. 8 out of 10. Man of match from Arsenal's point of view. Man
of the match. I'll take that. I think he was excellent yesterday. I think he early on he kept us maybe the 25 to 35 minute mark. He kept us in the game with a string of saves. Anthony, moving on to the back line. Bellerin, how do you feel he did yesterday?
I'd give him a 6 out of 10.
6? Yeah? You know what?
I think he was okay.
I thought Bellerin was okay yesterday. I thought he was okay. I think he did his portion or his job, if you like. All right. So 6 we'll give him. I might even put a half in there, Anthony, just to be generous. Yeah. Sam, we're moving on swiftly into the centre back positions. Mustafi, you're busy. You're busy, mate.
5.5. I would have said 6, but he didn't have. He had a difficult game. It was a lot better than he didn't make no mistakes.
He wasn't our worst defender, was he, Sam?
Yeah. It was a difficult game to say. It was a difficult game to give anyone like a Bellerin.
I know.
6. 5.5.
Okay. All right.
6,
go on, Sam.
Yeah,
you were gonna say? Say again, Sam. Sorry.
Mustafi 5.5.
Okay,
had a
5.5.
good game, but no, and
okay, all right. So moving swiftly on, Mari, Anthony, talk to me. What are we saying?
He only played 20 out of 25 minutes. I don't know. I can't really rate it.
We'll give him an average. We'll give any player like that. We'll give an average of 5 out of 10. Yeah, because I think he was okay. I think he was okay. Tierney. Tierney, I'll come back to you. I'll stay with you, Anthony. Go on. You look like you're ready to give me an answer.
You know what? I felt a bit sorry for him. He actually tried to put in a good performance. Every time he received the ball in the left back position, it's like he wanted to go forward, but then I don't know if he's been coached to pass the ball back. They'd get the ball and he'd turn around and bring it right back again. But I felt like he wanted to storm ahead. Did he make any mistakes? He might have been when Kyle Walker headed the ball over for Mahrez. I don't know. I don't know. Was that a mistake? I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe.
What are you giving him?
6. Sorry. 6.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what I will say on Tierney? I was quietly impressed. I haven't seen a lot of him play. I didn't see him at Celtic. But I think he's got the raw materials to be a really good Premier League player. And I think you need power and pace down the flanks these days. I think Liverpool showed that you need to have power and pace at least down both flanks with your attackers and your wing backs. So I really enjoyed some of him driving forward with the ball early on in the game when it was still honours even. But moving on, we're going to the midfield. And we are looking at Sam. You get the choice of Xhaka, Guendouzi, or Willock. Which one would you like to rate? Go. We'll take Xhaka as a void. I think we'll just give him a 5 out of 10 and leave it out at that. So talk to me.
Guendouzi, I'll give a 6.
Okay.
He was tenacious, tried his best, won the ball, tried to go in. But
Anthony,
yeah,
you're making faces over there. What's wrong?
No. He had an okay game. Sorry.
Just okay for you.
It was one of his better games in recent times, I must admit. And against Man City, it's always going to be a challenge. I think with Xhaka behind him, you could have popped up to a 7. But if you ain't got no cover behind him, even a Torreira behind him, you've got some bias.
Do you know what I would say, Sam? Do you know what I would say on Guendouzi? You said his performance, it was one of his better performances. And I would argue, better doesn't always mean good. Just because he's better than his standard doesn't mean it was a good performance. And
that's what I said. It was 6. That's a 6.
Okay, yeah. Listen, I think it was one of his better games, but I still struggle to understand what he brings to the structure of the team. What is the job that he is there to deliver, you know?
So what annoys me about him as well, when he gets subbed, sorry Sam, when he gets subbed, he walks off the pitch. Like, we're losing. Don't walk off the pitch. Run off the pitch like everyone else.
Yeah.
But he's head is so up his arse.
Yeah.
He like sort of just like strolls off the pitch like, I'm tempted to get subbed.
He does carry himself with a swagger of a player that's made it in the game, you know, and I think he's still got a lot to achieve and a lot to do in the game. But listen, we won't spend too long on Guendouzi. We'll move on to Willock, Anthony. Were you having him at all?
Nah, yesterday wasn't a good game. I forgot he was playing, man. I don't even want to score. It was that bad.
Okay. What are we giving Willock, though? What are we giving him?
It's probably 4, man. Minor. I forgot he was playing the game. I like him. Willock, if you're watching this, I like you, but you just weren't good enough yesterday.
Nah, I think we're all in agreement with that. He was a little bit non-existent in the game, and his final kind of decision making in the final third, should I say, isn't great, and the execution isn't great either. I do think he was part of the structural problem in the midfield. Maybe we will talk about some of the players that came on to replace the injured players, just because they played quite a substantial amount of the game. So the 2 subs that came on, we had Dani Ceballos in the midfield. Sam, talk to me. What are we saying?
5.
Player rating.
5. Didn't do. Tried hard. Some of them are good enough, but he didn't do much wrong, but he didn't do much right. If you know what I mean. So if it again comes on, you've got to fill the role that you're not used to. I think he done okay. Whatever he done in yesterday's game wouldn't have made that much of an impact anyway.
Okay.
So 5.
So Ceballos, 5 out of 10, yeah? Spot on. Don't mind that. And then we had, listen, I'm going to take one of these. I'm going to take the other sub. Sorry, Anthony, to jump the gun.
That's all right.
David Luiz, 0 out of 10. Furthermore, if we could go into minus numbers, I think we all would. Yeah, this guy should never play for the club again. I'm sorry, I'm done. So leaving David Luiz alone, we'll continue on and we'll go into the attack. So we're looking at Saka. And I think it's you, Anthony, I'm coming to, isn't it? Saka, talk to me. Not one of his better games, was it?
4 out of 10, mate.
Oof, I think that's generous.
He got bullied again by Rodri.
Yeah, I think so.
Four out of 10. I think the positive note is when he did go on a couple of runs. I think his end product wasn't great, but he did kind of break. He did get in behind a couple of times.
Yeah.
Um,
But so I think you could see it wasn't his position. He wasn't used to the movements and the change in the direction in that position. You could see it was unnatural for him, you know. But Sam, I'll stay with you then, and we'll look at Nketiah. How do you feel about his performance? You had something to say about it earlier.
I'm gonna keep it as constructive as possible. I don't like, especially younger players. I don't like slating them. All right. First 20 minutes showed a lot of promise in the sense of his movement, and I guess that's why Arteta puts him there, because he was getting in some half decent positions. He was making himself a nuisance with the Man City defence.
So Sam, I'm going to press you for a number just because we're pressed on time, and we're running out of it rapidly. So you're going with a 4 with Nketiah. Indifferent performance, could have done better, yeah?
Yep,
fair enough. Aubameyang, Anthony, short and sweet, please. 10 to 15 seconds if you want to give us any spiel. You're giving him a 5.
Yeah.
Say again, Anthony, sorry.
5 out of 10, that's it, mate. I've got nothing to say. I've covered it already.
Yeah, I think so. So listen, just before we finish up, boys, we've got about a minute and a half to go before we call it a day. Predictions for the next game. We'll just go with the scoreline. Anthony, what are you telling me? We have got Brighton away. Brighton away for Saturday.
2-0 Arsenal.
Sam.
2-1 Arsenal, but Leno both goals.
Oof. I think just to keep it snappy and different from the both of you guys, I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal. Arsenal always concede. Always concede. Listen, chaps, thank you for your time tonight. Much appreciated. We'll get this chopped up and put out tomorrow, and I'll send it out to the both of you guys. Much appreciated. Thank you to my 2 guests, Anthony and Sam. This has been the Typical Arsenal Show, and we'll chat to you again next week. Cheers.